my inspiration for hair, right, doesn't come from hair. It will come from technology, seeing a fabric, stroking my cat. My name's Eugene Souliemen. I'm a hairdresser. I work in the fashion industry. I do lots of shows. I work with some incredibly talented designers, and I try my very best to create hair that you probably haven't seen before. Right at the start was like a really interesting time in London, because there was like a lot of high-end fashion, and I kind of came into it through the back end when models like Kate Moss came out. We were kind of, as they called us in Paris, les enfants terribles, which was like the rebels. We came in and I guess we created, well, we didn't create grunge, but it was part of, well, backlash against mainstream fashion. It was like much rawer.
The hair this season is very Brigitte Bardot, very Julie Christie, and very kind of like big, but big in a kind of rock and roll sense and a wilder sense and a more savage sense.
That's really kind of where I started in fashion. I never went straight into fashion. I used to work at Trevor Soulby's in a salon, and I gradually became a session hairdresser, and that was a period that took about 5 years, believe it or not. I just used to look at my fashion work as fun. I never really saw it as a career because I was working with my mates. You know, at the weekends we were travelling to Brighton with an iconic photographer, Corinne Day. We used to travel to like Brighton, Margate, and we used to do these things that were called tests, which was basically a photographic shoot, and we would try and get the stories run by magazines, right? At that point in time, there weren't a lot of magazines that you could actually work for, or mainstream magazines. So we used to work a lot for like The Face and ID magazine and present these tests, and they would run in the magazine. I would have no idea, right, of where fashion was going or my career was going. I was completely oblivious to it all, actually, like so oblivious. You work with your mates, and that was really it, and you went to a club afterwards. I think creativity for me is a very personal thing. And I think creativity can come in many forms. So really, I think it's like how you process information. So for me, whenever I see something that is surprising to me, or even stuff that I'm not particularly into, I appreciate the fact that they are different. When you kind of look at something and you really have to think about it, you're like, do I like this? Don't I like this? I don't know. When you actually have to process something in that way, I think generally it's something you've never seen before, which is, for me, creative. I find bad taste really very inspiring, because when I look at something that has bad taste to it in a classic sense, right? It means that I really have to process it, and I don't know whether bad taste is good taste or it's something that I've never seen before and I've been programmed to think is bad. Being brave enough to create something from a place that is deemed ugly or cheap, to create something entirely different is what I find personally really inspiring. There's always something you see somewhere and you go, oh, I'm not sure about that. And then you actually have to step back and look at it. And there are always elements in something that you think is like really ugly that could be beautiful. It just is, everything is really about perception. So how you perceive something. At this point in time, I'm really wanting to create new experiences for myself and doing things that I haven't seen before. Recently, since I've been working with Mr. John Galliano at the House of Margiela, I've began to use a lot of other materials to simulate hair or to mix in with hair to create unusual textures. Drip candle wax on wigs, used silicones, done lace hairstyles, like, you know, really kind of, I've been experimenting a lot and I've been really enjoying that. Well, the older I get, the more open I become, which is quite strange really, because as people get older, they become more set in their ways. And for me, it's totally the opposite of that. Naturally, at this point in time, I seem to be coming back around into my older career, which was a teacher. Except I'm not teaching in a traditional sense, because obviously I've experienced lots of other things and gained some knowledge and new perspective. So I've literally come back around into the trade or to the industry. I really love it when people that have come from our team or our environment and they're doing something in a really great way, successful. There's, you know, and I'm really proud of them, actually. I'm really proud that you know, there are hairdressers out of my camp that have done really well and they're doing really well. You know, for me, it's very heartwarming thing to happen, really, because I kind of look at them like my kids. You know, like you want your kid to do well at school, you want your kid to have a great job, you want your kid to have a great life. And I've got a family of my own and 2 daughters, and I've got another family. You know, so I'm very happy that, you know, I've played some part in helping someone find themselves creatively and create a life for themselves. You know, I think it's brilliant. If I could give anyone some advice, right, it would be just to kind of maybe stay away from social media for a little bit, or try things out privately. You know, like if you have an idea, try it out on someone, try it out on a block, you know, hone your skills, you know, and I think that's it, really. I think it's really great if you don't fail in public, which is a bit of an issue these days because of social media. Everyone's on social media and they're putting their stuff out there, and I think in some way that hinders like the concept of free-spirited thinking. Right, and trying ideas out, because no one wants to fail in front of the world or their peers. Everyone wants to look really successful. And I think maybe it stops people trying that little bit more, taking that little bit more of a risk. So I think the best bit of advice I have ever been given was from Trevor Soulby. And I think it was like, if you're not living for it, you're never going to get where you want to go. You have to be having fun whilst you are doing what you're doing. And I have to say, it came from a really good place. I think assisting someone really good is an amazing inroad into the fashion industry, to like really experience it personally and understand what it takes. What really makes a good assistant is someone that wants to learn, someone wants to push things, someone who's not afraid of really hard work. Because I don't think you can get anywhere really quickly. You can't, you know, you have to fail a lot of times to really kind of chisel yourself into a really great hairdresser or a head dresser, whatever you want to call it. You have to do that, and you have to be willing to fail, right, and learn from your failures. I tend to work with people on a very personal level. You know, obviously, I'm a bit of a actually, I'm a lot of a taskmaster. I like things to be done a certain way. I like to push people. I like them to become the best that they can become. And I think any individual, regardless of what they do in life, needs to grow in some shape or form and get really good basic skills. Learn the basics. Don't look at the basics as boring, look at them as building blocks.